Hey everyone, Bradley Jack Design here with another design breakdown. This time, this jersey swap of David Montgomery, the rookie for the Chicago Bears. So, I don't really do a lot of jersey swaps, but wanted to attempt one with this photo of David Montgomery, just because I'm a Bears fan and it was the only way for me to actually attempt to do a jersey swap. So, I'm going to show you what it took to create this jersey swap. First things first is we need a photo. So I have this photo here I found of David Montgomery from Iowa State running. Now this might not be the best photo to use. I just found it and thought, okay, we'll use this one. Again, I don't do jersey swaps that often, so I don't know which images are better than others, but this is the image I started with originally. I've got this layer here titled CC. It doesn't really mean anything, so I didn't do this in this specific order, but this is the process of what I ended up with. So I went ahead and erased the jersey numbers. I went ahead and made this layer. These two layers are the only rasterized things essentially in this whole design. I made it non-destructively so I can literally go back to where I was, which is this original image, and it's still maintained, its integrity. So this layer, I went in and used the stamp tool and just sort of stamped out certain areas of the jersey. This next layer, and all these layers are masked to this erase jersey numbers layer. So this layer, I went ahead and sort of erased part of his glove where it had the logo, and I ended up erasing most of his head because I actually went ahead and swapped his whole head because I couldn't find a good enough photo of a Chicago Bear helmet in that specific angle. So what I did next was, there's a couple different things in here. So there's this arm shadow over here that doesn't really make much sense. It does with some of this other stuff up here. So let's see what we've got going on. So first things first, what we need to do is we need to change the jersey color. So I've got a gradient map here with the Chicago Bears blue in here, a lighter version and a darker version, and then going to black to change the whole jersey to blue. I didn't bother doing this back part here because I masked it out anyway because I thought it looked stupid, so I went ahead and took it out. So on the jersey, other things I've got going on over here. So that's why I have this arm shadow here, is to create a little bit of a shadow on this, and that's because of these shoulder lines. So in order to get the shoulder aspect of the jersey, I went ahead and found this photo. Let me open this photo up. So it's this photo here. So I took this photo here of, I believe, Jordan Howard, and I took his shoulders for this image. So I went ahead and just masked out everything. Here, the right shoulder, so I just masked it to the edge here, and I took the left shoulder and I masked it to the little edge here, and that's why I put this shadow there, is because it looked a little weird with that not being a shadow, just based on the shadows of the shoulder. I also went ahead and put a few color adjustments on these to change the color of the blue and the color of the orange. And I did that to match the jersey numbers I found. So I've got some jersey numbers here from this photo right here. So big 32, sort of similar angle, good enough for me at least. So I went ahead and masked out everything except for the jersey numbers, so you can still see some of the fabric underneath. I went ahead and added a gradient map to this of the same blue, so the blue was the same, and then I went ahead and actually have a multiplied layer to darken up underneath his arm, and then I put a little bit more of a shadow underneath his arm as well to make it realistic. So that's how I did the shoulders and the jersey numbers. Now if we keep going down here, see what we've got going on. Glove color change. So I went ahead and took away the green from the jersey here, not the jersey, his glove. Took away the green tint. Logo color on gloves. This is a gradient map to make that red turn to orange, and then color changes on the glove to make all the gloves orange, and then there's a little bit of blue here from the jersey color. So I just wanted to make everything Chicago Bears colors, essentially. Shoulder tweak, just wanted to make more of a clear line over here. If we zoom in here, I can show you what I'm talking about. So you can see that it's a little bit muddy and there's not a clear line, this makes the line clear. So I also then have in here, there's this random stuff here. Legs, tape, and color change. So if I turn that on, it basically makes his legs and this tape, it gets rid of the green on it. And I have this neck darkening, which puts a big black spot here, which makes no sense unless I have the head swap turned on. So let me turn that on. So what I did was I found this image here of David Montgomery at practice, which is taking 6 years to open, of course, for no reason. So instead of trying to figure out how to get a jersey in his face, or not a jersey, a helmet in his face to look good, I just found a photo of himself to put on here. And then what I did was I put a hue and saturation layer on it to change the blue to match the jersey. And then I put a little bit of a color change, a layer set to color at 50% to change the color of his face to match his arms, since the lighting was different. So that's what I did here for the initial jersey. And you can see here, if I take off the neck darkening, there's this weird spot here. So I wanted to darken that up. So that's what I went ahead and did there. So then what we have is I've got the NFL logo on the pants. So I found this NFL logo, sort of tilted it around, masked a little bit of it out. I put a levels layer on the bottom part of it to darken it up, and then put another layer on it to darken it up to sort of match the curve of the jersey. So these are the initial edits I made to the photo of David Montgomery. Now from there, I went ahead and clipped that out using whatever tool you want. I'm not going to mention either of them. Actually, I know I used this specific tool, never mind. I also then took this photo and edited it in Lightroom, and that's what this photo is here. So it's the edited version, and that's just using the standard Photoshop and Lightroom editing techniques that I use for all of my images. If you haven't seen that video, go watch it now. It's great. It gets you from an image that looks like this to an image that looks like this, which has a lot more detail and contrast in it. People tend to like it. Someone pointed out that I had the wrong helmet on here, so I went ahead and took the logo off, because based on this jersey, there's not supposed to be a logo on the helmet here. And then I also went ahead and took away the Nike logo and replaced it with this Bears patch. So I just found a Bears patch, put it there, and the visor needs to be gray. So I have a gradient map here from white to gray to make the visor gray to match the jersey. I have this layer here called Shade on Patch, which you can see here just puts a little bit of shade on the patch so it matches realistically what the patch would look like. That's set to multiply at 100%. I've got this layer, which is just a 20% opacity screened levels layer to just lighten up the whole image. I thought the image was real dark after my editing, so I went ahead and changed that. And if you've watched my editing video before, you can see here I have boosting the highlights with a levels layer set to screen, and I painted in highlights. And then the same thing with the shadows to boost the lowlights on the shadows. So these are the further edits I made to the initial David Montgomery file we had. And this is what I imported into my final design, which is here. So this is the final design. Let me get rid of this JPEG. So what I did was I found this background. I have this background on my computer. So this is a really sweet iStock photo I found, or I downloaded. So I went ahead and threw him on here. So here's the image we had. I took the original image and masked out everything except for where his feet are on the ground, and put a gradient map on that that's just black and white to make it realistic to this is where his shadow is from his feet. I went ahead and created a smart filter of blur gallery, the blur gallery filter path blur, so I can turn that back on. I'm just going to take a hot sec. And I went ahead and masked out the whole blur except for on his front leg here, a little bit of his back leg, a little bit of his elbow here, and then his front arm. I didn't pay much attention when I was swapping this glove. I kept it white instead of putting the Bears logo in there, solely because I knew I was going to blur it out, so it didn't matter. I can fake it and no one's going to notice because it's blurry. So if we look, this is the original image. This is what we've got afterwards. So it's looking pretty good. But in order to make this look more realistic, I've got a bunch of different overlays on top to make it realistic within the scene. So I have this layer 2. I don't know what this is. It's a colors layer. Oh, it's changing. I had a little bit of a red line here on his old jersey, so I've got that layer there, so that doesn't really matter. So I've got a screened levels layer next to brighten up him from where the light's coming in. And actually, I duplicated this whole layer, which is right here, and blurred it so the light was in front and behind him, because realistically the light would be shining in front of him as well as behind him, depending on where the sun is. I set a couple different levels layers on that to dim it up and turn it into a little bit of a flare. I don't know, I have two. Oh, I've got one to get rid of the edges a little bit, and then this one I have to lighten it back up, and I've got it masked to only about this top section up here where the light actually is. And that's why this screen levels layer is there. It's me painting, essentially painting back in the right side of him, the right side highlights. So I'll paint on the shoulders, paint on the helmet, this shoulder, top of his arm, the top of the ball here, this side of him, and then a little bit back here on him. And then I have a multiplied layer to increase the shadows. So it increases the shadows underneath the arm. It increases the shadows under here, on this back leg, down here. Anywhere where there's a shadow, I darkened it a little bit more based on the source of this light. So anything basically bottom left got shadowed, anything in the top right got a highlight. And I think I duplicated these layers twice, or I went back in and added an additional screened layer to accentuate the highlights more. Same thing with the shadows. So if you have an image, most of these images that are football players, the sun's coming from up top. So you can manipulate where you want the light source to be by adding shadows and adding in highlights back into the image. So from there, pretty much I just threw on this cool lens flare. You know, I just wanted more stuff in it. Set a levels layer to it to get rid of the lines over here. And then I just copied, or I dropped a random shade from here and applied it to the lens flare set to color to match the highlight over there. I have this lightning layer set to screen. Basically what I did was I just set this levels layer to screen, and then I just masked out everything except for where any light was. So I just took a light brush and just clicked it once or twice where these lights are, these lights up here, and then I clicked a whole bunch up here to get more lighting from the source up here. Then I just threw a lens dirt on it that I had, put the same color I used from up here on top of the lens dirt, set to color, and then threw my logo on here twice because it looked weird. So I threw my logo on here, then one final color lookup of Kodak 2395 set to 75%, which gives us the final result of the jersey swap. So I'm probably going to do a couple more Bears jersey swaps depending on if I can find images, but I hope this was a little insightful on how I was able to do the jersey swap. I don't know other people's techniques. It could be similar. Pretty much use the content aware tool or the patch tool or any of these tools over here, really. Spot healing brush, patch tool, content aware move tool, or using the clone stamp tool to erase aspects of the jersey, finding specific images of what the jersey looks like and making sure that your jersey has those assets on them, like this little NFL logo or the Bears patch up here, and then finding similar angled image or positioned images to match the different parts of the jersey. Helmets, I sort of cheated because I just switched his whole head, but you can't really tell here. Just make it look normal and it'll be completely fine. Blur some stuff, throw some lighting on here. I think the whole lighting aspect was really the whole reason this is such a nice jersey swap, because I mean, if you look at this initial image, like, yeah, it's a good job, but you know, there's some weird coloring, sort of shadowy issues here. You can see his glove, there's nothing on it. This isn't 100% matched. I could spend more time on that. But then once you glue it and edit it together, it looks better because you're applying all the same editing effects to the same layers. And then you throw lighting on everything and it really makes the piece come together. So if I do any more jersey swaps, I'm sure you guys will see them on my Instagram. If you guys have any other suggestions for design breakdowns or tutorials you want me to do, go ahead and drop a comment below. Other than that, make sure to like and subscribe. Thanks.